Well, greetings. It is time for another ERI update, and I'm excited to tell you about just a few of the things that have been going on here at the office. I feel like the last couple of months we've been spending a lot of time on expansion and planning for the future. So we haven't been doing a bunch of speaking events. This is the summertime, so it's not our busy speaking season. And so in one sense, for some people that might make the update videos a little bit more boring during the summer, I suppose. But so what we're focused on while we're not on the road a lot, doing speaking or outreach, is focusing on the future, doing planning, doing expansion. So here's a couple of examples of that. So one thing that Tim and Jacob are doing a lot of is working on training material that we're going to use to expand the Equipped for Life course soon. I don't want to be getting into a lot of detail right now on what we're going to be expanding the course to include, but it'll be several hours of new content that we're hoping to add by the end of this year. It'll certainly be the biggest thing that we produce this year. And so those guys have been hard at work, working on tons and tons of content that we just haven't put out yet, but we're working on getting ready for something big to release later. One of the things that I've been working on is assessing multiple people that we're looking at possibly hiring. We want to be able to expand our team. We've got a lot of open positions and things that people could do that would really help us to reach more people. And so it takes a while. I think if you do it right, it takes a while to hire people. There's an adage that I've heard from multiple people. There is hire slow and fire fast. And so I've been hiring slow. But there are multiple people that I'm in the process of assessing, and we've been able to work together as a team on figuring out what is a really good sequence to run people through as we're assessing them. And so there's a lot of steps that get involved before we offer someone a job, and I've made a whole spreadsheet now because we're working multiple people through that process right now. So again, I'm not going to talk about that yet because it wouldn't be appropriate to before we've officially offered a job, but we're looking at multiple people that we're pretty excited about. We've had an awesome intern this summer named Megan, who's been working hard at video and audio editing for us in a couple of other projects. This will be her last month doing that, but I'm excited that she's hoping to continue to volunteer after the summer is over, and so she'll continue doing some video and audio editing for us, and that's been a huge help. And so also some of my time this summer has been not only teaching her how to do that, but also trying to work out what would be a good workflow for us. It's kind of complicated collaborating on audio and video projects with someone who is from out of state. And the software that we're using doesn't have the best way of doing that, and so we've been having to kind of try to figure out some workarounds, and we're making a lot of progress on that. It's been awesome lately, but it's taken a while to kind of work out some of the kinks in figuring out how to work together really well and have her basically help ERI as much as possible. One of the things that she suggested was adjusting our publishing schedule, and she made some really good arguments for changing the way that we were publishing. All I cared about was trying to publish regularly and on the same days. And so the course podcast has always been every other Tuesday. The podcast, once we started it, we were releasing every other Thursday. So just trying to keep consistency so that people can see that we're professional, that we're good at what we do, and can plan ahead and all of that. And so we're going to continue with that. We're just adjusting it, mainly because I realized that I really ought to be sending an email out to the people who follow us every time we release something. Before I was doing that with every article, but I wasn't doing it as often with the podcast. And part of that was because I wasn't wanting people barraged with emails on like back-to-back days, especially if you are a member of the Equipped for Life course. Certainly an email goes out to everyone who subscribes to the course whenever we release a new course podcast. And so that would happen, and then sometimes we'd release an article the next day, and then we release a podcast the next day after that, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, basically. And I was just a little bit worried about, and maybe I'm too worried about this sometimes, but it's like not wanting to bug people, not wanting to feel like we're hammering you with stuff every day. And so we've just adjusted the schedule so that you will tend not to get emails from us back-to-back days, although you will probably get several a week. And so the new schedule is, in fact, I'll put a diagram of the schedule on here, but this is an example of our August schedule where we're putting out a new ERI podcast, so public podcast for everyone, which will either be an audio blog or a long audio. That'll go out every Monday. always, ideally first thing in the morning. Because I know that when I subscribe to podcasts and I know that they're going to have a new one on a Thursday, I like to be able to wake up and download the new podcast right away and listen to that as I make coffee and breakfast for the kids and stuff like that. So that'll be every Monday, and then every other Friday will be a new blog article, and then every other Wednesday on alternative weeks will be a new course podcast. And then sometime, usually in the first week, although I'm not guaranteeing it, will be the new ERI update video. And that's just because I have to sometimes pick and choose when I can record these based on what's going on. And then on Saturdays, occasionally, I think once a month, I'm going to do an email on Saturdays where it's kind of like all of the links of the things that we've published in the last month. In case people have missed them, just have kind of one quick monthly digest email that has all of those links, because we are publishing a lot of content now. And then occasionally probably a fundraising email. I have not done very much of that, and I think I should do more of that. And so at some point I'll be putting together an email with some purchases that we had to make recently, just because we had a podcast mixer die on us, and we needed to get a laptop for our intern. I'm going to need to get another computer for an assistant as soon as we've hired that person. And so we just had a couple of kind of unusual equipment expenses lately. And so I'll be putting out an email pretty soon inviting people to help us with those costs if they feel so led. We're also in the process of planning for our fall. So I've been in the middle of working with multiple groups, scheduling speaking events for the fall. There's one event I'm really excited about that I'll be doing in Virginia this fall with David B. Wright. We're going to be basically co-speaking at this Josh Brahm, David B. Wright event, or David B. Wright, Josh Brahm event, whatever. So looking forward to, so both of us will do a speech and then we'll do a Q&A on a panel together. And we've been talking about this and just kind of how excited we are to finally kind of share a stage together for the first time in a long time. And we're hoping to do this more often. I really like David, and so he's been a lot of help to us lately. And so I'm looking forward to that. So I've been kind of working with some different groups and different places on logistics and planning for some speaking events. And Jacob is now working on planning our ERI staff-only outreach that we're going to do in Atlanta at some point this fall. That'll actually be really good because a few of the people that we're looking at probably hiring we'll invite to that outreach so we can see them dialogue with pro-choice people. We will rarely, if ever, hire someone without seeing them do outreach at least once. It's kind of, there's kind of our people, an ethos that ERI has, so we kind of want to make sure that people are a good culture fit for if they're going to work here. So we'll be looking forward to doing that outreach sometime this fall. And the last thing, and I'm pretty excited about this, there's this really cool pro-life church here in Charlotte, and they've got a Sunday school class that's going to be going through the Equip for Life course together. And the guy who leads that class is someone who's been following my work for a long time, like back in the Life Report podcast days. And so he was really excited when we moved to Charlotte, and I've gotten together with him and his family a few times. And so his church, a really actively pro-life church, like far more than most Protestant churches that I've been to, are going to have a 9-week series going through the Equip for Life course, which is awesome. And so I'm going to speak at the first and last of those Sundays. And then those middle Sundays, they'll see me on a screen, or Tim or Jacob or whatever. But I'm excited to see what it's like when an adult Sunday school class goes through the course in a really organized way with a great local leader who is super excited about helping people in the areas of apologetics and especially being relational with each other. How do we help equip people so they can have great one-on-one conversations with their friends, with the pro-choice friends that they have, and seen real major change happen in that context? He's exactly in line with us on caring about that and kind of that vision for the pro-life movement. So I just literally came back from lunch with him doing some planning, trying to make sure that we get everything ready and prepared for that series. Obviously, Rachel Crawford is still support raising. She's making fantastic progress. We're all really excited for her and how well that's going, and can't wait for her to move down here, which means that I really need to start working on finding an office that we can all be in. And so if you've been kind of following us from afar but not financially supporting and want to help us get to the place that we can get to as we expand our staff, that's the big goal for me. The big fundraising goal is to get us to a place where we can get into a small office that will accommodate more people collaborating at the same time than this small room can afford. So that's it for this update. Thanks so much for your interest and your prayers and your support. God bless you.